Hello, Juli. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Mashtia Collective podcast, and not just any episode, 10th episode.
10th episode.
Yay!
Made it 10 episodes.
Yes, almost unbroken streak.
Almost. Just one week.
Just 1 week we missed, yes.
I think this is the best we've ever done.
Like consecutively? Yes,
yeah.
I agree, because we had another podcast before, and we'll get into it in a little bit, because this episode will tell you a little bit more about how Mashtia Collective came to be, how we came up not only with the idea, but also just like all the years-long process to get here, and the different iterations that this project has gone through. But yes, we used to have another podcast, and it would be like, put 5 episodes out, and then take like a couple months
break, and then put 3 other episodes out, and then I take a year break.
Yeah, so I think this is definitely the longest like running streak that we've had. But I think that also speaks to how excited we are about the project 100%. And like how much we've learned from those past iterations that I mentioned and whatnot. So just before we get started, Juli, how are you? How's your week been? We are together today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. We're not recording remotely as we usually do.
Yeah.
We're at your place. Thank you for hosting us.
Of course. Yeah, I think last week we tried to do like the like simultaneous fake
remote,
and it did not work. So then I was like, if we're together, we're together.
Yeah.
If we're at home, we're at home. Like it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yes.
But I'm good. It's an exciting week for me. It's my birthday week. So my birthday tomorrow. Once you hear this on Monday, it would have been my birthday already.
Yeah.
So my husband's taking me down to Disneyland to celebrate my birthday.
Yay.
So we're going down on Thursday. And yeah, it's exciting. But I've injured my knee though, so I've never had like any injury, like major injury.
Right.
For sure, never had a knee injury.
Right. Welcome to the club.
Thank you. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, stretching and whatnot just to make sure that... Because, if you've ever been to a Disney park or any sort of theme park for that matter, you do so much walking.
Yes.
It's so much walking. And you're just like non-stop. Yeah. So, I want to make sure... Like, last time we went to Disney World... Of course, World is bigger than Disneyland, but Magic Kingdom Day was easy 40,000 steps. Or 38,000 steps.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
So I want to be sure that I'm not, limping
overdoing it,
Because I know that if I'm in this line, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll just sit, you want to ride the rides and stuff.
Of course. I think it's gonna be fine. Actually, I didn't tell you this before, but I'm incurring in the world of KT tape.
Oh really?
Oh, taping, yes. I taped my knee today. And I feel a bit supported. I usually wear a brace. So maybe look into it. Yeah, look into it.
Because my injury is not for lack of support, but it's because I need to strengthen my quads.
Right.
So it's kind of like, maybe I'll ask the physio. But yeah. That's me. How are you doing?
Yeah.
New look?
I'm good. I have a new look for those who are watching on YouTube as well. I'm good. I cut my hair this week. Finally, for those of you who've known me or know me from before, whatever, I had gone through a very short hair phase before, at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah. Nothing was happening. I wasn't having a mental breakdown. I just wanted to try it out. And I really liked it. But I think at that time, and that honestly, it ties kind of with what we talk about in this podcast, where I was very stuck in that mentality of now I have to regrow it out, and I have to take all the steps needed so that it grows out, and I want it to look a certain way when it grows. And so I didn't get to enjoy this pixie haircut phase that much, when in reality I actually really liked it. When I had it in this phase, I remember liking it so much, but my mind was so hyper focused on must grow it.
Purpose for the haircut.
Exactly, having a purpose for the haircut. It can't just be for the mere enjoyment of it. And so, which for me, if you know me personally, you know that for me, hairstyles is one of my forms of expression. I don't know if creative per se, because I don't do them, but it is one of my favorite forms of expressions. I've had almost every hairstyle that you can imagine. Bangs, side bangs, purple streaks, blue streaks, pink streaks, short, long,
Red
bob hair, red, auburn, like just buzz cut, every single form of hairstyle. And I really like experimenting with my hair. And so this time around, I was like itching for a little bit of a change already. I wasn't really enjoying the long hair anymore. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. And so I'm here. I'm happy with it again. And it's also letting me re-explore other forms of expression, like with more jewelry, more like different makeup and things like that.
Like chunky necklaces.
Yeah, chunky necklaces, like rings. I'm not wearing any today, but I'm bringing them out when my move is over. So yeah, I don't know. I think it was just a good week of being like, you know what, like those weeks where I really desire to do something and then you actually get to do it. So, but even more extrapolating it further than just the haircut, I think it's been overall quite a good week. Feeling like I'm prodding along in my moving journey. I'm almost ready. My house is full of boxes and whatnot at the moment, but just equal parts kind of not anxious, but just like, you know, it's a change, and change always brings a little bit of uncertainty, and I am not a big friend of uncertainty, but also excited because it'll bring about good things, I think. So yeah, just kind of looking forward to that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Your moves are exciting, I think.
I think so too. I mean, it's bittersweet because I really love my current place, but I think the place that I'm moving to just opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that I already spent half my time in this area anyway, so might as well just like make the move and cut some commuting time at this point. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
That's
gonna be good. So today we're done talking about the future. Time to talk a little bit about the past.
I'm down.
Juli, where would you pinpoint Mashtia Collective's origins?
Man, I feel like I don't have like a specific moment. I feel like you probably do. But, oh my God, there's a little, like, fruit bug somewhere. I wouldn't necessarily pinpoint a particular moment, but I feel like it's an idea that has been kind of brewing in our hearts, possibly since second year of university, I feel like. Because, like, I think first year of university, we, like, got to know each other and got to know, like, what was in our hearts, and got to know, and kind of realized that we both had very similar visions for the future, I guess, in a way, and, like, goals and dreams and yeah, so, like, I think that was kind of, like, okay, the phase when you get to know someone. And then second year, I think, was when we first, like kind of, like, moved in together and were roommates for the first time. Like, actual proper roommates. Because, you lived in my dorm room that had, like, just one bed. And it was, like, this big for, like, 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I feel like it was just, like, 1 week.
It was, like, 2 weeks.
Well, we still, like, anyway, like, spent a lot of time in each other's, like, dorm and building and whatnot.
But we didn't like live together. Like, like, because when you live with someone, you get at least like us, because we were already friends. Like, if you're like kind of move with some random of Craigslist or whatever, maybe it's not the same, or maybe you start becoming friends. But we were over that process, and so we kind of had a chance to just kind of chat and dream and whatnot, and like stay up late and dreaming up ideas and so I think I don't have like a specific moment. Maybe you do, but I think I kind of can map it back to second year when we started kind of exploring new ideas and exploring new concepts and coming up with different iterations of what this is now.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so too. I can't think of like a single moment either. One moment that comes to mind is I don't know if you'll remember this actually, because it was such a mundane moment. But we were entering one of our dorm buildings in first year, and you used to have this purse that said like Venezuela all over, like just in case anyone doubted your nationality. Yes. Like, you're like shouting it.
Like the day I met you, I was wearing my Caracas like baseball jersey, and I had my Caracas like hat that I actually wore last week or like a couple weeks ago for a podcast, and I had my like Venezuela purse.
Yes, and you had like a full red, blue, and yellow jacket.
I was so intense. It's like slightly embarrassing now, like looking back.
Yes.
Like I'm proud of my country. It's not like I'm not, but like you know.
Or chill.
Yeah.
But I remember you were carrying this bag, and we were talking about our plans post graduation. Also, dudes, chill. Like you just started.
Yeah, literally started uni like a month ago.
Yeah. But we were already talking about like our post grad plans, and I remember you telling me like, when I go back, because you were planning to go back to Venezuela
I
at that
wasn't gonna
point.
stay.
And you were like, when I go back, I really want to open like a music school, or I just want to really give like other people like the chance to study music and to study art and whatnot. And I wouldn't say that like in my mind it was like, oh, we should start something, but like I came here to Canada to pursue the degree that I did, because in my mind my idea was always to start a nonprofit relating to education. But basically the idea, or like you were saying, the heart behind it was always like give more people just like the opportunity, right? Access. And
For sure.
yeah, it definitely like pained me to know that in my country and in our region in general, there is so much untapped potential just because of like multiple myriad issues.
Lack of access for whatever reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason, go way beyond the scope of this podcast. But so I was like, oh, like, because of course we had like already clicked in terms of humor, in terms of like some likes or dislikes or whatever, that at that point, like in our friendship, we were already discovering. But when you discover that you truly have like what drives you and really propels you forward, and like your vision and the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing is like quite similar, I think that's like a whole nother level of connection with people, because it's like you know that it will be someone who will be there to like propel you forward, right, and not hold you back,
and help champion each other's ideas, I guess,
exactly. So like I wouldn't say like, I don't know if that's like my origin point at that, like in that moment, but I definitely remember as one of the times where I was like, oh, great, like this is definitely not gonna be just a friend that, oh, we eat together or go to church together or like laugh TV, about and I watch TV. It's like, oh, okay, it's definitely gonna be more of like, as you say, like we can be each other champions, because we will probably be able to relate at that deeper level.
Yeah, and I think another thing that like I feel like we connected over was kind of like just the desire to talk, like like we something that I like about our friendship is that we have conversations that are super mundane, super topical, and like we can be talking about the Kardashians one moment, and then next moment be talking about like how to solve world like hunger or something. And it's like completely unironic. Like we're actually discussing ways that if we were presidents or like governors or whatnot, or like prime minister, this is how I would solve the problems in the outside side. And then it's like, I can't. Yes. And a second ago we're talking about like a purse I bought or whatever. It's this like ebb and flow of like having, I don't know, different being able to keep multiple conversations in multiple channels. Yes. Open, and I think that's something that I really craved, and it's something that I love, but not just in like friendship, but also like in projects, like having like levity, and in projects. Like I'm not gonna like I take things seriously, obviously, but I want to laugh and I want to be able to have fun while I do what I want to do. Yeah. And it's something that I feel like once I realized that you had to, and it's like we have similar vision, a similar heart for things, and a very similar sense of humor and like levity in things, and like we love laughing and we love like sharing those moments too. Yeah. Not just the intense moments, like
totally. Yeah. And I think other moments that really stick with me, that as you're saying, like really reflect not only like as our friendship, but then also the moment where I personally knew that I was like, I think I can work with this person, is because like I love many of my friends, but I already know that I couldn't like work with many of them. One that really comes to mind, it wasn't so much a moment, but all the time that we lived together, for some reason I've been reflecting a lot on like what it's probably like to live with me, with like for other people to live with me. And I'm like, you know what? I'll give Juliana so much credit, because I don't think I'm the easiest person to live with. And I feel like the moments that while we were roommates and had to talk and communicate and resolve a lot of issues, and I don't know, I feel like those times really brought to light the fact that, oh, like, you know what, this could be someone who could work together, because inevitably, like when you work with someone, there will be things that like hard conversations that you need to have or whatnot. And the fact that we're able to like remain friends and all of that, like have no big fallout, but on the contrary, like that our relationship and friendship was strengthened after those really hard conversations and moments. I was like, you know what, this is definitely like great. And the other one, this is actually like kind of ridiculous, but truly it does stick in my mind. We used to work at the same bookshop for a little bit, and one day, I don't know, maybe we were needing the extra cash or something, but we signed up for a night shift.
We definitely need the extra cash.
Yeah, we need extra cash. And we
definitely. Yes. Is inventory shift?
Yes, inventory shift.
So tedious.
Yes. So we basically had to remove every single book off the shelf and scan it so that we could actually know how much inventory there is of things on this in the store.
And it's a big store too.
It's a big store, a lot of books. And I remember you and I just tag teamed so well, and I don't think we even really spoke.
No.
We just started like flowing, and everyone else was like, oh, where do we even start? Like starting like some super inefficient processes, and we were like, dudes, we have like until midnight or 2 a.m. I can't remember to get the whole store scanned. And you and I just went to another section. It was like, we'll take over this. We didn't even like talk of like plan and strategize. We just started flowing, and we're like scanning, just getting everything done. And I think at that time, same. It was like not in the moment. I didn't think like, oh, store this for the future.
Yeah.
But it just became this sense of like, we get it. Like we just work well together. Yeah.
And I think like having lived with you also gave me the, because I think a lot of projects fail in the beginning stages because people don't know each other well, and people don't trust each other to communicate. Because I trust you, and I know that if I say something, I'm like, if I say something, or if I tell you that I don't agree with something or whatever, I know that you trust. That I trust you to know that it's on our best. I have our best interest at heart in like as in the project's best interest at heart. And I have your best interest at heart, and I know that you have mine. So like, because I live with you for so long, I know that you like in my mind. I'm like, you've helped me through so many things. Like in my mind, I'm like, you would never. I know that you wouldn't never do anything to profit for yourself. That like puts me at a disadvantage or whatever,
right?
And vice versa, So like I feel like having that relationship is like, it's important to start a project with someone. I think it's just like, I mean, and this project is a baby project. Obviously, like I can't be like, this is my business advice, because I don't, honestly, like I feel like I have so much to learn. But if there's anything I've learned from like the million projects we started that like that maybe stayed in the startup space or phase because we didn't have time or whatnot, or resources or whatever, is that like I know that I can trust you, and I know that like being roommates and going through like the conflict that brings, because inevitably there's gonna be conflict, like cleaning and schedules and things and like whatever, like spaces, makes me be like, no, I know that I can trust you, and if there's something I don't agree with, I'll easily tell you. And like I know that it's not gonna make you upset or anything, and vice versa. Like I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, cool. Like because we know that we have each other's interests at heart.
Yeah.
So that's something that's important too. And I think that's another thing that and I think after this we can probably go into the story too. Like but another thing that for me was like, yeah, I can totally work with you, is that we are idea generators. Like and we never. I feel like something that we've realized through the years is, we don't put down each other's ideas. Like sometimes we've had like the craziest, wackiest ideas, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let me just kind of reel you in a little bit, but it's totally doable, just not right now, you know?
Yeah.
And we're like kind of doers. Like we generate ideas, we come up with ideas, but then like I think we have a very cool dynamic in which like you have so many ideas constantly, and I have probably a little bit less, like big ideas, but then I can go and get stuff done, and it's just like, it's a very like well-balanced kind of dynamic where one person is the visionary, one person is the doer. Of course, we can both. It's not that we can both have vision. We can both do things. Yeah. But like in the balance shift of things, I'm not mad with you coming up with ideas and being like, why do you have all the ideas? Because I feel like people are very, very precious with their things, and like they're like, oh, I don't want to do your idea if they don't know each other well. Because for me, it's like, of course I'll do that. Like that's an amazing idea. I would have never come up with that. Yeah. And I had the resources and the know-how and the skills to get it done. Let's do it. You know. And I think that's kind of something that like works well with us. I feel
totally. Yeah. Yeah, and even in knowing also like where our skill sets lie. Like there are moments where I've tried a little bit, like just to help like with your load or whatever, to do like, I don't know, some video editing, for example, something. But I know that's not my strength. Like it will take me an hour to do what it takes you like 5 minutes probably or whatnot. But then like I might be a little bit more better, quote unquote, on the administrative or accounting side. You know what and I mean better in terms of like our relationship, because I'm also not great at the accounting side. I just lost all of our receipts. So I'm also not great.
I deleted our like accounting spreadsheet.
So it's not that I'm like the best either. Oh my God. But the thing is, like, you know what? You're taking care of all the graphics, all the videos, whatever. I'll take care of like this part. And when we have a project, or right now that we're working like with one of our clients, it's just like, okay, I'll take on the project management side or whatever. And it's sometimes like it's things
it's so organic too.
It's very organic. Like, it doesn't even need to be spoken because of that. What you were saying, we know each other so well, and we've tried different iterations of like what each one of us does. So with time, we've also learned like just to kind of intuitively also take on certain things because we know that our skills are very complementary in that way.
Totally.
So, Juli, tell us, what was our first, or what would you say was the first iteration of Mashtia Collective, or one of the first projects that we're actually like, okay, we found out we, rally behind our own visions, we know each other, we know we can work well. What was one of the first ones that you can remember that we started?
I think it was B, right?
I think so.
I think it was B Latin America. It stood for Beyond Education.
Actually, no. It was our Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
We had an Instagram.
I don't even have a password anymore. Is it the same password for everything? Probably.
Actually, probably. I don't even.
Pick it up again.
Yeah.
So like, because we had this particularly, this one friend comes to mind who would come to our place quite often, and like and then this is back when we lived in we've talked about the bunker before. If you haven't heard about it, we'll like leave a card here so you can go see that episode on YouTube, or we can just leave it on the show notes too. But we lived in this place that we like called it a bunker because it was like had like no sunlight and it was always cold and it was like a basement suite, but we had a lot of our ideas kind of were birthed there.
Yeah.
And that's where all of this started. And we had this one friend that came over all the time, and she was like, and she always said that we were hilarious. And then I was like, oh, we should totally make an Instagram kind of just meme our life, because sometimes it was like, honestly very funny. Like from the outside in, it was very, very funny.
I feel like we would be at the 30 AF bitches sarcasm only level if we would have continued.
Oh, me too.
Maybe like I'm overestimating ourselves. I mean, I don't know. But I thought like it had legs, especially because it was the era where Instagram was just starting to take off.
Like, I think all the photos we put up had like filters and stuff. Because it was like, it was what you did.
It was the time,
Like, you like slapped like a whatever filter on it. Like, like whatever.
And we started, I think, a bit of a... No, the YouTube channel came with B. You're right.
Yeah, no.
But the Instagram was first.
But we still like filmed. You know when Instagram had like 15-second videos that was like recently introduced. We still filmed because it was like right after Vine died, and Instagram like picked up the videos.
Yes.
That were 15 seconds, and like we still did. Man, I don't give us enough credit.
Yeah,
because we've been persistent. We just haven't been persistent with one thing, which is unfortunate.
Yes,
but like we filmed little like almost like skits.
True.
Of like loading the dishwasher or whatnot.
My gosh, I did not remember this at all. I am looking at this immediately once we finish recording.
I feel like I should like insert a skit here.
Okay, yeah, do it.
I want to insert a skit here so that you guys can see or hear it. I guess watch the YouTube videos, great.
Yes.
Come to YouTube, subscribe.
And subscribe, yes.
Una guarda de montón de platos, pero yo creo que los metí todos. Sí, no falta nada, no, está bien. But like, I think that's our
first project, and then came B,
which stood for Beyond Education Latin America, and our idea. And you probably have a better handle on what it was. I feel like I was always a little bit confused, but I also always knew that the heart behind it was what first connected us, which was like giving access to those that didn't have access in Latin America. To music education, art education, and education in general.
Yeah, education in general.
And like, the concept was beyond education because it's not just like what you get in school. Like, for us, especially because we were both very, like, fortunate and blessed to be able to go to IB schools and like get a very well-rounded education that goes beyond the paper and the classroom and teaches you to be like a global citizen. It's a whole IB thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, for us that was very important, so it was just aiming to kind of open something that like helped others.
Totally. And I think it was also the first project that we kind of came out of us, but then we also included other friends. So we had made some friends at university that also kind of shared similar values and interests and vision, and it became 5 or 6 of us who actually like came together. And I think, did we try to do a fundraiser? Or I think we did a bit of a fundraiser for one thing, for like one local project.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did. And then we were putting out like op-eds. We were very, I was studying at that time international relations, political science, and my area focus was in Latin America, and so was one of our other friends. So we were very kind of on top of the news, current events. So we were also writing op-eds because part of the vision as well was, the fact that we went beyond the classroom. You know how like nowadays there's a lot of memes and jokes about like, oh, my school teaching me how to play the recorder, whatever. Me in real life needing to file taxes or save money or whatever. It's like all these things that you're not, or like respond to the news or understand the economy.
I can't wait to use trigonometry in trigonometry season.
Right, like in real life. So yeah, it was a bit of that as well. Like going beyond the classroom and just like a well-rounded education in every single sense of the word for people to actually be equipped to face real life, or real life, quote unquote. And so I think, so we were doing like op-eds, and we were trying to see if we could collaborate with other groups, like either on campus or in Vancouver, who were also connected to the Latin community, and provide those spaces for just like discussion and learning from one another. And I think that was like, even if we didn't fully progress with that, I think it was one of the first projects where we actually sat down and were like, okay, we actually need a project vision, and we actually need team roles and deliverables, and we were actually learning a little bit, unbeknownst to us, about just like project management and how to start something, like get something off the ground, right?
Yeah, I'm actually so thankful because I'm thinking, while you were talking about it, I was thinking about like what we did. And I remember like we built a website, like I designed a logo. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it was the first time like I opened Photoshop.
Yes.
Or it was probably Canva actually.
Yeah.
But it was like the first time that I ever designed anything and like from scratch and stuff, and I like owe that project a lot because now like I do design for a living, you know, and like like I owe that project a lot to just even helping us find those passions that we didn't know we had, like project management for you. Yeah. Like you like organizing a project, and you like pushing people to do the things they need to do. Yeah. And for me, it was like design and web design and communicating, I guess, in a way, telling a story.
Yes. Totally. I think we definitely owe that project a lot. Even other friends of ours were like starting to hear about it. People like on campus, at least in our small like IR Latin American focused community, were kind of already getting the buzz.
Music student here.
Yeah. Already getting the buzz of it. And I just think that it was like definitely that first taste of being like, you know what, like it's very easy to want to outsource, you know, ideas or projects or whatever, but there's also a beauty to getting things like off the ground. And I think that gave me just like that first sweet taste of that, and I've been kind of obsessed with that feeling ever since, because like it just like that sense and that feeling of I'm starting to create something and carve a space for this something in the world out of nowhere is kind of addicting.
It's actually kind of addictive, addicting, and then after that we did the seminar.
Yes.
So seminar was like, I think it was probably, I was gonna say our first successful project, but actually no, there's success from all of these, like, but it was our first like project that we started and ended, and I think because it had an end date. Yeah. That closure was so nice. And our university, and I don't know if this is something that more universities do or if it's just ours, but like when you're in your fourth year, your last year, you have the option to like lead a kind of like a student directed seminar or a student led seminar, and you can like choose from a variety of topics, and then you get credits.
You come up with it. Actually,
you come up with a topic that can be in any sort of variety of topics, as long as it's connected to one of the streams of education. It doesn't really matter. It can be anything. So we were both, I think I've always been passionate about politics. I think like it comes with probably being from Latin America, you know. You kind of grow up in an overly politicized environment, especially in Venezuela. Yeah,
and you either love it and become really like enmeshed in it and want to talk about it and discuss it and have strong opinions, or completely repel it and like you don't want to know anything about politics.
It's everywhere, you know, like especially now that we live in Canada, and I feel like people don't like have a clue about politics because people don't talk about it here. I'm like, how? But anyways, so like I was very into politics. We were both very into like telenovelas, and like the entertainment industry in Latin America, and we were realizing that like, you know, does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? Like, you know, those telenovelas and songs and like narcocorridos, and this was the time when like Narcos was huge, and like all of these like big narconovelas were like massive. Yes,
and getting more into like Netflix. This was, I think, before Netflix was doing like the geo blocking. I don't know if they were or they weren't necessarily, but there were more productions like coming into Canada than there are right now.
El Patrón del Mal, like the original Pablo Escobar show.
Yes.
I think after they did Narcos, like it was so huge that they started buying all of these narconovelas. Like they bought El Patrón, or like licensing, I guess.
Yes.
Or El Patrón del Mal, and
Lord
then
of the Skies,
Lord of the Skies, Señor de los Cielos, and then what's the one with what's her name? You know the one, La Reina del Sur.
Oh yeah.
La Queen of the South. Like all of those shows were huge, and so like they were a little bit more mainstream back then, and so we were like, hey, this is an opportunity to explore all these things and get credit for it, you know? Like, it's great. And to invite others to it.
Yeah, to it. So definitely, yeah, for sure. So the whole project truly entailed coming up with a concept, because this was essentially like not only like a weekend or a day seminar thing, it was a whole semester. So essentially, like, it's 2 students who are proposing a new course, essentially. So we had to come up with the topic, get a faculty advisor, because you have to have a faculty member kind of backing this up and making sure that the research you're proposing and all of this is legit, and then coming up with a full-on syllabus of what people will, or we will all, as participants in the seminar, be learning for a whole semester.
With like bibliography and like papers and like we were like, I feel like we were in the library and so much.
Yeah.
And just like opening JSTOR and just trying to find whatever, because like I feel like this has been a thread in my life, but I feel like I come up with like this wacky like thesis for a paper, and then it's like, oh man, like I can't I can't make this work, and then I end up having to like pull from like this like obscure journal that kind of backs up my thesis, instead of like reading things that are already out there, you know.
No, but I think one of the great things is that we found that I definitely like in more so towards probably like media studies and all of that, and like anthropology and stuff, there's actually quite a bit done in these things.
And for this, it wasn't that difficult to come up with things that backed up our
and it was so great because we got to like explore songs and shows and series and movies that we had even a lot of us grown up with. So we definitely, like, obviously you have to promote it and publicize it, and there's a minimum number of students that have to enroll. So we ended up being like 15 or 16 of us in the seminar, a lot of us Latinos, some not, and we just had this great space to explore basically, and to kind of critically assess and look at so many of the things that we grew up surrounded with, but we just took for granted, because it's just like, oh, you're at a party and you listen to a song and you sing without like even realizing how the lyrics are, you know, like perpetuate certain things in your life, but also come from particular dynamics in our societies and things like that. So I think it was just so cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah, and we got some guest speakers to come and talk to us about some things. We learned so much about, I don't know, like the origins of the punk scene in Peru and all these things.
So many random things that I would have never read about by myself.
Me either. And it was so cool.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, it was the first project that I think we saw to completion.
It was so rewarding. Yes,
it was extremely rewarding, and I think it just kind of solidified that sense of like, we can work together. We're definitely rallied behind this. We can do it. And just as we were talking with B, like that sense of creating something out of nothing. Yeah.
And then after that,
but truly, like, you know what, the nice thing is, like, we say out of nothing, but now that we're like retelling the story, it was not coming out of nothing.
Not coming out of nothing at all. Like, and like, you can totally see the thread of like what moves us, I guess, in a way, and the things that we've made from that too.
Yes.
Because even because again, going back to the, like, we just love to talk, and we, in our conversations, I consider, I'm very biased, but I consider them to be some of the most interesting conversations I can ever have with anybody.
Yeah.
And when you meet, I feel like meeting someone like you, I guess, in a way, it's a great blessing, but it can also be a bit of like a curse, because not because of you, but because then you're like I don't know if this happened to you, but like you're trying to make friends, and you're like, man, I can't have like a deep conversation with this person, or this person is not following my train of thought, and then people don't have to, like, honestly, like not everybody's gonna be you, and like it's something that is taking me a while to understand as I make new friends, because like our conversations are amazing. And I love them, and I have listened to us talk many times, because we have a trail record of, like, you know, many episodes that we've done at our next project, which was NSN, right?
Yes, but actually, now that you mention it, we had a podcast with B. It was a blog where we posted opits and stuff, but we had a podcast too.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
How did I not remember this?
Yeah. Where we actually talked about like the issues and things in Latin America.
No way.
Yeah, we did. So We started the podcasting track record back in B, now that I think about it.
Actually?
Yes. And then we continued with B throughout the time that we were also doing the seminar.
We did. No, another B was, I know that B was like a multi-year project.
Yeah, because some of the people who were involved in our seminar also learned about B and also really rallied behind the idea. And some of them started like a guest writing for our online platform, I guess, for our website. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember, but I actually can't remember.
We even had like submissions form where people submit like op-ed pieces and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
This is a little bit bigger than we remember, I think.
Actually, man, I feel like if I had a time machine, I would go back and like keep going.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine because we're now going and we actually have resources and time now that we didn't have before, so it's okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't remember how did we record.
I probably that's when we got these.
No, we bought these for
the next project.
The next project, yeah.
Okay, I don't know, probably our phones, but we were definitely like already doing podcasting at the time, and there was already this like sense in us that digital was kind of what was coming or the way to go, I guess, to spread the word and whatnot.
We're very like innovators or like early adapters, I guess.
Yeah.
This was before podcasting was huge.
Yes. Yeah, like it was before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before then. But then there was this overlap between B and the seminar.
Yeah.
And then we graduated and it opened up the space to our next project, which was
NSN podcast, which stands for, and it was a podcast in Spanish where we just had conversations about life and world and politics and music and whatever.
Anything
really, anything and everything. And we just sit down and talk and record it. And NSN stands for No Sé Nada, because a lot of the times when we have conversations about these big topics, like our conclusion in different ways, like I always say, like, soy un pequeño ser, like I'm just this little being and I have no influence into the world. And so with that famous Confucius.
No, Socrates.
Socrates, sorry, my bad.
Yes.
Socrates, like, I only know that I know nothing, or like, yo solo sé que no sé nada. That was like the
crux of the, So I remember.
Socrates,
I remember. So I took this political thought course in university, and I became really obsessed with some of like Socrates' writings, and with two phrases or two ideas in particular. So one of them was aporia, which gave way to my own like separate project that I still have. I'm still like trudging through it, called View on Aporia, which is like my separate blog. And then with this whole idea of I just know that I know nothing, because I remember my prof saying, you have to understand that Socrates wasn't, this phrase, like, I only know that I know nothing, is not the same as I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't come from ignorance.
It doesn't come from ignorance. Yeah. It comes from such a profound knowledge where you've, like, studied all the possibilities and really looked at a topic in depth and realized that in the vastness of the universe, I guess, or whatever, we truly, like, the only thing that we can be certain of is that we kind of don't know nothing. We know nothing. So... and it was like supposed to be a gateway into people looking for like more knowledge and understanding and all of this, right? When you realize that, wow, it's just like so much. And so, I think that was the premise of like that podcast, where we just had open discussions about anything that interested us. And I think it was also a bit of a turning point for us, because we had graduated and we were outside of that like small academic like circle and niche, and we were like just exploring these bigger topics in a more probably like colloquial and relaxed forms, while still being ourselves, still pursuing our interests, but also in a way that was more fitting, I guess, for that area of our lives where we were like adapting to the quote unquote again real world, right?
And we did a lot of it over, because we graduated in 2017. Of course, there's many, how many NSM episodes we have out? Probably quite a few. We will say over 100.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's still out on the internet. Yes. It's still like, if you speak Spanish and you want to listen to us rant, like I love it, and once in a while I'll go back and listen to us rant too. But I feel like it spanned over many different years of our lives, where we were doing different things. So we worked together at the bookstore for a little bit, then you worked at the church, and then I was doing all random gigs to try to pay for rent, and then I had an internship at the church, and then you worked somewhere else, and then I was working at the church, and then COVID hit, and it's just decent. Like, I feel like it's just like this like time capsule of our lives, and just like span. It's just so cool to like have that kind of record of like being able to look back and be like, that's, I don't know, that's cool. It's a cool thing to do.
It's definitely a cool thing, but this is the one that we were referencing at the beginning of the episode. Where like we took so many breaks, like we recorded, I don't know, 5-7 episodes not at once, but like
we
consecutive.
were back like once, like at least once a year.
You were back, and then we're not.
Yeah.
We did 3 episodes, and then we take another like long hiatus.
Yeah.
And so I think, but yeah, as you say, you definitely saw us grow a lot. I think saw us develop a lot, saw us do a lot of real-time just processing of things, especially in those episodes where we talked about like current events, like things that were going on at the time and whatnot, and during that COVID era. And then we went I think on a definite kind of pause. Or then we actually, I think that's when we started birthing the idea of NSN, like NSN Media.
NSN Media.
Yeah, so which was like the predecessor, I guess, to Mashtia, where we were like just gonna take the No Sé Nada, which we ended up converting it into just like NSN. It was just like a easier way to pronounce and we started developing this idea of NSN Media. It's like, okay, what if it's not only us, and we like bring together all of those passions, all of our like own creative endeavors and pursuits, which for me has always been writing. You were starting to develop way more knowledge in the area of like design and editing and things like that, because of course audio and music you were already like being trained in and proficient at, and you were like learning more about production and just a lot of these things. So like, okay, then why don't we move into that media space then, under the umbrella of NSN Media? And then I think that our lives, our paths just kind of like, in our personal lives, I guess, there was a little bit of like, okay, sorry. And also the COVID times also prompted that thought, at least in me, where I was like, okay, what am I even doing? You know, like, and I've said this publicly before, like I was convinced that I was going to move from Canada in general, like at some point, that I was going to go like somewhere else and pursue graduate studies, which has always been like a goal of mine. And it got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't know if I can pursue a joint project, because I feel like I'm all over the place, just like personally as well.
Yeah, no, same. And I think we also like moved out of like we were not roommates anymore.
Yeah.
I got married. And you moved to your place and then to your other place, and like you had your new and current job, and like it's just, and I quit my job, so it was just like kind of a bit of a whirlwind of things going on.
Yeah.
You did your like project management certificate and your ESL certificate and like your other certificate. You have done so much education, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to figure out like how to be a freelancer or like work for myself, I guess, in a way. So and be a wife, which is also like it was a whole new, it's not a job, but it's a whole new like role that you kind of have to learn as you go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like for a while there, we were kind of on hiatus from projects in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't writing either. I was just not doing really anything. I was good. And to be honest, like even more vulnerable, I think I was just depressed as well. Like it was just a very kind of weird time and space. But I think that's the nice thing, especially in a project like this, talking about creativity, like those spaces and those times and seasons in your life are definitely not wasted.
They're so needed. Like when we were talking about last week, like everything has happened. Because you were probably depressed. I was super burnt out. Like the seasons of depression, burnout, anxiety, all those things are not wasted, and you learn so much about them and through them. Yeah,
totally. So and then after that, I remember this. I don't know if you remember this, but I was coming out of that depression, I guess, and we went to eat at a Mexican place by my house. And I sat you down and told you that I needed to talk business with you. Do you remember this?
It was sort of left field because I'm like, oh yeah, taco. What?
Yeah, and I was like, and I think I can't remember the words that I said, obviously, but I was like, and we kind of touched on this a little bit in last episode, where you're like, when you have a creative soul, and you've quenched down that need for so long, eventually you'll just like start bursting at the seams, right? Like you will just be a point where you're like, I need to make something, like I need to create. And as you were saying, like I'm a very idea driven person, and I'm just like, I'm having all these ideas. I'm not doing any of them because yes, whatever, life, sure, and whatnot. But then it was just like eating, like really not gnawing at me. And this is a problem where you're like, when you're a reader but you have no idea how to like actually pronounce half of the words that you learn. But then you're just like, and so I remember I was like, but I love the way that, because of everything we've shared in this episode, like the way that we work together, the way that like we propel kind of each other forward, and the way that we share vision. And I was like, what if we like revisit this like whole having a joint project thing, and this time like for real, no quitting, kind of going forward no matter what, even if we're in like hard seasons, even if like we don't want to and we don't feel like it, like moving it forward, whatnot. And I think that's when we really started being like, okay, is it going to be in Ascend Media, or are we kind of starting from scratch and truly solidifying what it is that we want, like with deliverables, with how it's going to look like. We're going to sit at our desks and do what? And we're going to meet, and our meetings are going to have a purpose. We're just not going to have another, big brand philosophical discussion.
Because we easily can.
But we're going to like do things. And I think that for me, I guess that was kind of the starting point of Mashtia.
Yeah, of Mashtia, I think so too. I think Mashtia started, like the Mashtia concept
actually, yes.
started like before. Too.
Yes.
Because for a second we were gonna sell coffee.
Yeah, we're gonna import coffee.
And Mashtia was.
We still might. I haven't.
You never say never.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't given up on that idea.
But no, it was.
Because Salvadorian coffee is the best.
It's the best, but it was a little bit, like, biting off more than you could chew, sort of thing. Like at the moment we were totally sure that we could totally roast our like a whole 30 kilos of coffee in our living room or whatever, or like we were looking at like home coffee roasters, and it's a lot. I mean, and if anybody is into the coffee scene, you know that it's a lot. Like you just don't roast coffee for commercial amounts in your living room. So, and it might be a project that we most definitely will probably revisit in the future.
Yes. And we'll not do it at home if any of our landlords are listening.
Yeah. No, we will do it at a good facility.
Yes.
But yeah, the concept of Mashtia, the concept of that, because originally when we started B, the idea that everybody has something to teach and everybody has something to learn, that was birthed back then.
Yes.
Like knowing that the conversation, that is why it was beyond education, because it was not just like your typical teacher-student dynamic. It was like, no, education goes beyond just that format. It's like we all have something to learn from each other, and we can all teach someone something. So now bringing it back to Mashtia, that was basically like, it's a now what word? Now what word?
Yes.
From like the indigenous language of like the Central American region, that basically signifies that concept of like interconnectedness, community, teaching each other and learning from each other. And so that was cool, because for the coffee, it's like, well, coffee plants have roots, and coffee plants need community and need all these things, and it also extrapolates to that kind of vision, essentially, that everybody having something to teach, everybody having something to learn, that has moved us through all of these projects that we've talked about.
Yeah,
that is still the same vision and the same heart behind this current project too.
Yes. And
so I think we then started to talk about, okay, let's talk business, let's talk how it's going to work, what are we going to do, and we've gone even it's taken it's pretty much a year since we first sat down and we're like, okay, let's get this done.
Yeah.
And we've been through many iterations of, okay, how is it going to look like, what is our product, what are our services, how are we getting clients, all of these things, and things have changed. But I think the cool thing about doing business with a friend that is that you know that you can pivot without a lot of, like, there's not a lot to lose at this stage.
Yeah.
And we kind of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and that's fun, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And also, like, again, trusting in each other and trusting that we don't have, like, we have our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
So then we like raise our business.
Yeah.
And now we still have like steps to do in the business registration process, a bit of a pain, but we're like a registered business.
Yeah.
So like that's super cool, and like it's a project that like has like a checked step,
Yes.
So I think that's kind of the story of how we started and the vision that moves us right now too. It's the same vision that moved, which is super sweet too, that moved us 10 years ago. It's the same vision that moves us now.
Yeah, and I think that and part of the idea of making it a collective, which is not a reality yet, but I think it's why it's called a vision, is that the fact that more creatives and more people who have that same heart and who have that same vision and who share it and who feel identified with each other the same way that I did with you that day that you had your huge Venezuela bag. Like, just people who are like, I kind of really want my art or my business or my idea to mean something, to like but I realize that I need from others and that others need from me, because I think sometimes we're a little bit hesitant to admit that I can bring something to the table, but I also know that I can't do everything by myself. And part of the reason why we've geared it so much toward creativity is because, as we've said multiple times, like for us, creativity is this very broad thing. It's usually very much associated to specific disciplines like art, but when you create, like, all of these things that we just talked about were us exercising our creativity
100%.
in all different ways. So we definitely do believe that it's a driving force and something that we need, something that we've been created to do to serve each other. And we really wanted to become that collective, like that collection of people that can rely and lean on each other. And like, if we have a project that needs both, an editor and a producer, then people who previously probably wouldn't have worked together can now collaborate and work together in a project, in a thing. And one of the things that I like, as you were saying, is that it's very much a living project and a living business at this moment, in the sense that we're kind of still building it as we go. We have, we kind of mentioned a few weeks ago that our website is almost ready. I think we're still going to tweak a few things.
Yeah, because we just did all of our branding guidelines.
Yeah.
It took us like a year. It took us me a year to like actually get it. Like in my mind, I was like, I have this vision. I see it. But then like, life you're at, right? So that's another cool thing about doing a project with a friend, and being flexible enough to not depend on it. Because I feel like if we depended on it, I need to enunciate better. We would, you get things done because you need the money, or you need to like live, you need to pay bills.
Yeah.
But like in this case, we have the flexibility to explore. So it took me forever to do the branding, but now we do, and so those are things that we tweak as we go.
As we go, exactly. Yeah. It was like, and it was such an exercise of lessons that we've learned from other projects, but just that we've learned in general in life. Where I'm like, I'm such a perfectionist, where I'm just like, until everything is not perfect, I can't start a project. And you were always more like, let's go for it. Just let's do it. We'll learn as we go. Yeah. And I think that like that's also so neat when you're like working with someone and you can learn from them. And so this project has been also a great bit opportunity for me personally to be like, okay, let me learn what it is to just get started. And it's a lot of what we talked about last week, where we're like our life mottos, right? It's like just kind of get started, do that first step. It's net positive. Like, we're talking about doing it, and like even doing one episode a week or whatnot, it's like moving the project forward, and we're kind of defining in a way, and we'll find a way to capture it, like what we want this to encapsulate in general, like not only in terms of values and stuff, but also in our offering. Of course, we're like doing a blog, doing a podcast, and that's part of our content stream. But we'll also have like products, and we're also offering certain services. And so like we want to integrate all of this into the business. And when we eventually become like a collective, all of it will be integrated as well, like the way that we interact with audience or other collective members, people who we might have in the podcast. Like at some points there will be episodes that it won't be only us, but other members of the collective as well and whatnot. So we definitely have just a lot of ideas, but it's so exciting to be building kind of in public. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like these are not things that are just happening behind the scenes in coffee shops or as we sit down and talk, like so many of those other projects where it was just truly only us, except B, where we got our friends involved and it was so much fun. But it will be like definitely it's developing and evolving as we go, and we're always going to be sharing it in this space as well.
Exactly, and you get to see it, and we all get to learn from each other, which is again back to our motto. So
So this is us. This is Mashtia Collective. Thank you so much for everyone who's been there for this past 10 episodes, and we hope that it's the first 10 of many more.
Yeah. Yes. If you've made it this far and you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. And rate and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also follow or subscribe there, because it really helps us out. And if you haven't yet, you can follow us on Instagram too. We post kind of short snippets of these episodes there, as well as other content that we make. Like last week we posted, or the week before, we posted a poem that you wrote. That's beautiful. And a few months ago we posted about a music piece that I made and stuff like that. So we're constantly showing not just this work, but also the work that we do as creatives ourselves too, and hopefully in the future others too. So if you have something, if you want to submit something or want to have a chat or something, just let us know there too. And we're on TikTok and we're everywhere. But it's always like the call to action moment. But yeah, like if you can follow us somewhere, that would be awesome, and that would really help us out to continue to grow this project and reach more people with this vision.
Totally. And if you have a friend where you're like, now that you've heard about more about the project and like its origins and stuff, and you think about someone who would like really enjoy it, or maybe, you know, you sense has something in common or would connect with the project, send them an episode or send them their like our Instagram profile or whatnot. And we always we say this a lot, but we love to connect with other like creatives and people who share our vision and I guess heart. And we'd love to chat if you're in the Metro Vancouver.